The idea of riding an electric Harley may lead some of you with mixed feelings and preconceived notions. Most will say it's an over-glorified commuter scooter, a lazy dog with no bark or bite for that matter. But those petty claims come from those who haven't yet to experience the LiveWire's capabilities. No, this LiveWire is not a typical Harley. In fact, you could easily call this machine to be more of a rebel against the rebellious. Yes, it's silent, but it's deadly. In reality, it could potentially rip one's throat out. Its performance can easily be measured with all the right ingredients. To achieve big power, you need a big battery, and that big battery just so happens to sit inside this giant-sized aluminium finned enclosure. This magnetic motor is undoubtedly small, but produces a well-felt pulsating heartbeat that can literally be felt with a push of a button. The weight may be a little on the heavy side, however its centre of gravity rests beneath you, which makes manoeuvring a very simple task. Its high set foot pegs and tall apex tyres are very favourable for riders who love to propose to the road. And the LiveWire suspension setup is very much in the nature of an aggressive sports motorcycle. Stopping power is fixed with a pair of monoblock Brembo calipers that grasp their gippers onto a 300mm dinner plate. And the result is a complete ballbuster.
Oh yeah, she pulls up.
But in a good way.
Okay, yep, brakes.
Kind of.
Work really well, and I'm glad there's padding around the tank so you don't squish your gonads. Oh, I felt like my insides were about to come out of my mouth then.
Stopping power doesn't just stop there. The LiveWire's regenerative power system doesn't just act as an entree supply of energy for your battery to numb down on. It also functions as a form of engine braking, which is adjustable of course. Increasing the LiveWire's regen braking characteristics minimises the reliance of braking pressure, if any. So as you can imagine, the LiveWire's engine braking, if that's what you'd call it, is pretty strong. But you don't have to touch the brake for the rear light to turn on. No worries about anyone running up your arsehole. With human anatomy aside, the riding position poses to be somewhat familiar.
Sitting on the LiveWire, as narrow as my girlfriend's skinny jeans that I accidentally wore to my mate's 30th birthday party. But unlike the skinny jeans, this is surprisingly comfortable. Let me show you what I mean. The upper body is slightly leant forward. The rear, it's just like you're riding a sports naked bike. Oddly similar to a sports naked bike.
Well, that's because it pretty much is. It's not just the riding position that accompanies its natural feel, nor is it the stiff show suspension setup that encourages its manoeuvrability. I can confidently say the LiveWire's power delivery is very much alive. Chuck all that into your smoko box and you'll be eating with the leader class naked bikes in no time.
Now when you think about it, only 105 horsepower, only 116 newton meters of torque.
So peak pony power doesn't read all that impressive. Well, we should never judge a bike purely on what the brochure says. What we should do is let all the dyno charts do all the talking. So let's take a sports bike for instance. We've got all hell and fury that can't be reached till the tip of the mountain. And then we've got our classic big bore V-twins. All the torque does the talking, but then gradually falls like the current stock market situation. And then we've got this, gains for days like a gym junkie on steroids. The only obvious power band delay you'll ever experience is justifying your temptation on how far and fast you're willing to twist that throttle right back.
Felt the wind off that one.
Let's see how much regen I am using. So if I keep clicking across, so green means I'm using regeneration, orange means I'm powering on. So let's turn around. We're going to overtake. Whoa, that was easy. And this is what I was talking about, having all that power delivery. Where you can use it is throughout the revs. Whoa, a bit slippery there. Well, the seat is a bit firm on here, but I do personally love a firm seat. I hate getting a dead bum when it's just too soft. Oh, suspension's a little stiff. I've got to not get too crazy on the bloody throttle. Whoa. This is a totally different experience. It's a whole new level of excitement.
Whoa! It has got the beans. Now, suspension is quite stiff. I mean, we say this on a lot of bikes these days though, stiff suspension, but it handles the bumps really well. Whoa! Yeah, there's a traction control kicking in. You know, the traction control is really smooth on it. You can feel it cutting the power, but it's not like real severe cutting. It's really smooth. It's not that intrusive. You know it's happening, but it's not really putting you off or anything. You know in the back of your mind it's there. It's got its safety blanket ready to throw over you whenever it's needed. Yeah, those brakes, not really progressive. When you put them on, they're on, but they are great. When you want them to work, they bloody work. You hit the brakes and they go, righto, bloody hang on then.
You know what, I actually prefer the throttle response on sports mode. I feel like the engine braking's better. Oh, rain. Oh, what a delay in rain mode. Speed is as ferocious as a Vespa in rain mode. Okay, maybe it's better than a Vespa, but it's certainly noticeable that you've lost a fair amount of power. Ooh, those are the brakes squeaking. It's so weird, you notice more sounds now that the bike is so quiet.
Be all and end all when selecting sports mode. Well, that's what we first thought.
Now with its riding modes, we naturally think that sports is going to unleash its full potential. Well, surprisingly it doesn't. So we're going to go ride mode, sport, and there we have it. Power at 100%, but throttle response only at 80. But we can get around that problem. Right, I'm just going to take my glove off because it's a bit easier. So in my custom A settings, I've got power at 100%, regeneration at 100%, throttle response now at 100%, which means I can go full send. And that's what we're going to do.
Your number's still 911? Oh, righty then.
Okay. Oh man, the throttle response, definitely an improvement. One bumpy road. And see the traction control is flashing at me, so it's obviously doing its job. The front end does feel like it gets a little bit light when you're powering out of the corner, so you do get a little bit of a head wobble, but it's nothing too dramatic. Coming into the bend.
Yes, I think he's getting quite comfortable with that A mode.
100% full power, 100% throttle response, and 100% pure, unadulterated madness that will end up taking over your mind.
Alright, let's do a 0 to hero. Ready? 0, go. Whoa, shit! Okay, with throttle response on 100%, the traction control really does kick in quite a lot. It's just got so much poke.
From 0 to 100, 3 seconds flat. That's guaranteed every time you hit that throttle with full force. No clutch control, and no worries timing the correct gear change. Just hit that throttle to your heart's content. It's just a matter of timing, waiting for that red eye to go green. Now, I don't want to spread too much icing on top of the cake. because there are a couple of drawbacks. Top end speed is limited to 186 km an hour. Continuously and aggressively rotating the throttle position clockwise, battery life will plummet. So plan your trip carefully, otherwise time for joyriding will soon come to a halt. So with that being said, covering range will be somewhat limited. The average distance we covered riding on the highway and cutting through the city streets was 167 kilometres, with the battery level sitting just over 15%. Fortunately for us though, we didn't have any trouble locating a charging station, all thanks to our little smartphone friend. The integrated Bluetooth system is a nifty trick. Set your destination and the LiveWire will navigate where you need to go through the TFT display. Plug into a regular adapter and the bike will take up to 12 hours from flat to finish. Chuck it onto a quick charging microwave, a whole 60 minutes. Seems like a long time to wait considering it only takes 3 minutes to pump dyno liquids into your beloved.
And for me, pumping my missus only takes about 10 minutes, and that's on a good day.
What?
Well, there's really no harm in waiting. I can just set myself up at a cafe while my bike sits on charge, or come to the park and relax and lower my fatigue levels. That, and I can have a good yarn with my best mate. Hey, Scotty. Scotty? Oh, pricks use the bloody stunt double again. Where's the key? Oh. Scotty! Scotty!
So how about that price tag, them dollary dues? How much are you willing to spend on an electric motorcycle? Well, I will say this much. For some, you may find yourself with a very hurt wallet.
Well, let's just say this bike isn't really suited for someone with a 5-digit income. So yeah, it's an expensive bike, but I don't really have the right to complain about that. After all, it is a new innovation, from building dinosaurs to experimenting with UFOs. That doesn't come cheap.
We should all know by now that lithium battery technology is a very expensive process to manufacture. And when we include the cost of development and new research of an electric vehicle, there's a hefty bill to pay, hence the vicious price tag. Remember when Tesla first introduced their electric vehicles? Yeah, wasn't that a kick to the crutch? The LiveWire is a massive step forward from yesterday's technology. Although persuasion will never come to fruition from the nostalgic enthusiasts.
No, it's not vintage because it's just always what Harleys have looked like and always what Harleys have been. It's why in the comment section of like any Instagram post of like the LiveWire, you've got people saying that's not a Harley Davidson.
Most will continue to hold their grudge against Harley's ability moving forward, but it will have to be ignored.
Harley simply just can't go down the same path of quote-unquote tradition. Otherwise they're going to find themselves buried in the dirt.
We've all heard the stories of Harley swimming struggles in deep water, their increased tariffs from overseas, an old generation just getting too old to ride, an unsettling ripple effect that can no longer be ignored. Crossing that bridge from old traditions to new beginnings won't be an easy task, but so far, so good. The foreseeable future for Harley Davidson looks very promising. Who knows what they will come up with next? I'm just glad that I got to experience one of Harley's best performance motorcycles ever made. Stay tuned for our LiveWire Part 2 video, as we will be covering more information you need to know. If you have any queries about the LiveWire, be sure to leave a comment below, so that we may have the opportunity to answer your questions in the Part 2 video. So, what were your thoughts on Harley Davidson's electric motorcycle? Have you considered test riding one for yourself? Well, now is the right time to do so, because Morgan & Wacker Harley Davidson just so happen to have a LiveWire demo bike available for you to chuck a leg over. Hey, don't start swinging your neighbour's cat if you're not located near Brizzy, because other LiveWire demos will be available at the following locations. Hit that subscribe button and bell notification to keep up to date with all of our upcoming motorcycle related content. We have more new motorcycle reviews heading your way, including some things a little old school. So on that note, my fellow riders, get on your two wheels and free the soul. Thanks for watching. There we go, green for engaged. And I can feel this engine pulsate between my legs. This feels so weird.